We're back. Week 3, video 2. We're still talking about the clarity of instructional vision, and we're introducing you to our teacher rubric, the Kraken. So we here at the Maths Teacher Residency use the Kraken in the way that we're going to introduce it to you as a tool for setting up weekly coaching sessions. We also use it a little bit less frequently for teacher evaluation. That is, we send someone in with the Kraken to do a sort of full period observation and give our teachers a grade. Now, rubrics sometimes get a bad rap with teachers. They can be really heavy in jargon. They can even sometimes feel kind of adversarial to a teacher. So in an effort to take some of the sting out of our rubric, we let our Maths Teacher residents give it a name. That's right, we wanted them to own their rubric, so we came up with a little bit of a naming contest to allow them to come up with a new title, something better than Maths Teacher Residency Teacher Evaluation Rubric. So our teachers threw out all kinds of ideas. There was a Lord of the Rings theme and some Greek mythology and even a couple of internationally flavored rubric names. And ultimately, per our democratic process, they voted for the Kraken. And the name sort of stuck, and so that's what we call it, and now you're stuck with the name as well. Okay, on to the content. So what does the vision of our rubric entail? Well, it's students who are working hard throughout the class, consistently putting forward real effort on rigorous thinking tasks. Those thinking tasks are well aligned and ordered to help the students achieve a bigger goal for the lesson. They're getting lots of opportunities to practice, and the teacher is assessing that practice in order to give them really meaningful feedback so that students know where they are at any given moment and how far they have to go to improve. If we were to boil it down to 2 words, it's these: practice and feedback. A lot of our beliefs about instruction have been shaped by cognitive psychologist Dan Willingham, specifically 2 principles of learning that he lays out in his great book, Why Don't Students Like School? The first principle is that memory is the residue of thought, meaning the longer time you spend thinking about something, the more likely you are to commit it to your long-term memory. And that's really what informs our beliefs about practice in a lesson. We think that the more students are practicing a set of coherently aligned thinking tasks, the more likely they are to commit that content to their memory. The next principle he discusses is that learning is memory in disguise. That is, what we normally describe as learning is really just our memory at work. So if we can get students to remember the content that we teach, we have real, genuine learning coming out of our lessons. Now, because our rubric is student-facing, we think the best way to explore the particulars is through the eyes of a student. Meet Malik. He's a student in Ms. McRookie's math class, and we're going to sit behind him in class today and have him narrate what's going on and what he's experiencing. Let's start with the behavioral climate section of our rubric. This section details what students are doing to create the necessary conditions for lots of learning to take place in a lesson. The first category here is time on task. That is, to what degree are students engaged, focused, and working hard throughout a class period. Hey Malik.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, are students engaged, focused, working hard today in math class?
Yeah, I mean, Ms. Rookie does give us hard work, and she gets on us if we don't do it.
Sounds great, Malik. Are you focused today?
You mean before you interrupted me?
Okay, sorry, my bad, Malik. I mean, students really are focused and working hard in Ms. McRookie's class. In fact, before we distracted Malik, I think 100% were really showing solid effort. It reminds us of the student surveys that we mentioned in the MET project in our last video. There was one question about whether a teacher wastes students' time. Well, that actually turned out to be the biggest predictor of teacher effectiveness. All right, on to the next aspect of behavioral climate, teacher radar and student response to corrections. This part of our rubric refers to the degree to which students feel like their behavior is noticed by the teacher. And if the teacher does notice their behavior and tries to correct or redirect it, how the students respond to those corrections. Hey Malik, you allowed to mess around in this class?
No, man. That lady's like a hawk, so can you please stop interrupting me?
Yes. Sorry, Malik, sorry. But hey, if you do mess around a little bit, like start chatting with your neighbor, what happens?
she calls you out. It's like she has eyes in the back of her head. She gives you a demerit, but you get right back to work because you probably already missed something important. Like right now.
I got you, Malik. Not trying to get you in trouble. We really love what Ms. McRookie has accomplished here. Students in her class feel like they have to work hard, stay engaged. They feel like she notices their behavior, and if they do get in trouble, they have to get right back to work. Business as usual. Okay, switching to the next part of our rubric, target task mastery. First off, what's a target task? Well, this is a task that you expect all students to be able to master by the end of class. It's something that they'll complete independently to demonstrate the degree to which they've met your learning goals for a given lesson. If you're an English teacher, this might be a writing prompt, or if you're a math teacher, this could be a rigorous word problem. The first row in this category is the rigor of the target task. That is, from the student's perspective, do they feel like the target task of the lesson is challenging, but not so challenging that they couldn't achieve it by the end of the class period? Hey, Malik, what's the target task today?
It's right there on the board, man. Eventually we're going to be learning how to integrate polynomial functions.
Wow, sounds complicated. You think you got this?
If I can finish taking notes. She taught us the first couple steps yesterday, so no big deal. If I can just concentrate.
Sorry to keep bugging you, Malik. Did you all notice Malik's growth mindset? Well, it seems like Ms. McRickey's doing a great job of fostering that attitude by making sure her students have target tasks that are challenging, but not perceived as being so hard that they don't think they can get there by the end of a class period. All right, back to the rubric and on to the next category, thinking tasks. So once students know what the target task is for the lesson, the end destination, the next question is, what's happening to get me there? What are all the different interrelated thinking tasks, the activities, the prompts, the questions that are help building me up to performing that target task on my own? By the way, this is really complicated stuff. Teachers of all experience levels struggle to prepare a logically ordered, well-sequenced set of thinking tasks to get students to a rigorous target task. We spend hundreds of hours training our teachers to do this in our residency program, and it's so big we might even make a MOOC about this one day. For now, what you need to understand is that from the student's point of view, it's do the activities of the lesson make sense to me in light of the end destination, the target task of the lesson. Hey Malik, look, I feel awful about butting in again, but I have another question. So what have you done today in this lesson that's going to help you ace that target task by the end of class?
She put it on the board like earlier. Like it's called the agenda for a reason.
You know, I'm teaching a MOOC, a lot of people, so...
Look, we won't know how to integrate until we can rewrite each term in KX to the end form. So I'm working with my partner here to learn how to rewrite.
Well, Malik's right. I haven't exactly been paying attention to how Ms. McRookie's thinking task set her students up for success with the target task, but Malik sure knows, which means Ms. McRookie must be doing a good job of communicating this to her students. Okay, on to the next row. It's called student practice. Remember your Willingham, how important we said practice is to student learning? Well, this is huge. If the teacher is giving students lots of opportunities to practice content throughout the lesson, it means that they are doing more of the mental heavy lifting than the teacher. Of course, teachers still need to explain difficult content, make connections between ideas, but ultimately they need to get out of the way to let students try to do the work on their own. In fact, I think I see a practice opportunity coming up right now in Ms. McRookie's class. Oh, hey, Malik, did you... Yes, I am practicing the target task. No, I'm not quite sure yet how to do it. No, I'm not allowed to talk to you during independent practice. Whoa. So, if Malik and his classmates continue to get lots of space to try out new skills, not only will they get a lot of practice time, but they're also going to give Miss McRookie lots of information about their learning. That will set up her ability to give them meaningful feedback so they can improve their practice. Which takes us to the next row of our rubric, teacher feedback. This is a broad category. Feedback can take lots of different forms in a classroom. It can be directed to individuals or to the whole group. It could be the teacher writing notes on a student's essay, or whispering advice while students are practicing something on their own, or it's even in how a teacher responds to an answer in a group discussion that isn't quite correct. There are two keys here. One, that students are getting lots of feedback. They get it individually and they get it as a class. And two, that the teacher is really strategic about the feedback they give to ensure that it's actionable and really helping push students along toward mastery of the target task. Now, we've taken up a lot of Malik's time here today, but...
Class is over, man. What do you want?
Oh, wow. Great. Hey, look, last question, Malik. Did Miss McRookie give you a lot of feedback on your work today?
Yeah, she checked something that was wrong on my do know. She helped me with my work, and she gave me this sticky note with a smiley on it. I like smileys.
All right, Malik. Sounds like she's really committed to checking your work. Thanks so much for your time today, man.
You got it. Later.
All right, time to see if you've been on task here. Couple of questions coming your way to see if you have mastered our target task of understanding the different categories of the Kraken. So that concludes the little tour of our student-facing rubric, the Kraken. Now you have a sense of our instructional vision. It's the same vision that we communicate to our teacher residents here at Match right at the beginning of the year. And once they have that vision, once we're all aligned, using the same language, on the same page, well, now we're ready to give some feedback. Which brings us to next week's class, focusing on the final variable in our equation, quality of feedback. See you there.